everyone. I am Madhurima Sapati and I'm joined by my really amazing friend and collaborator Thea from G2i. We have been working on and partnering with G2i and coming up with really amazing tools and resources for developers. For the past, I think 1.5 year, we were working together and collaborating, and it was really, really fun. And I wanted you guys to get a glimpse of what that partnership looked like. I wanted to get Thea on here and have her gush about me because obviously I'm awesome, but she is too, and I really wanted to just let you guys in into the behind the scenes and the life behind the collaboration. So, are you guys ready? Thea, are you ready?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Let's go.
I'm
Let's go. Let's go.
excited.
Let's go. I am too. Oh my gosh. Okay. So, kicking us into the conversation, can you introduce yourself and your role at G2I?
Yes. I'm Thea and recently promoted as a
Yay.
Director of Community and Developer Operations at G2i. So actually, this promotion has also been something that I kind of attribute to Madurama because we've been working together personally about, how should I move forward in my career. But anyway, so G2i is a talent marketplace and we take pride in being the only marketplace that actively exerts an effort to putting developer health first. I was G2i's first community manager hire. Now, actually, we have a couple more community managers in the team, but I was hired in the team in 2022 and, created a community, got the ground up running. So it's been over 3 years now. And what I really focus on is just making sure that we have developer healthy touch points across the life cycle. So we are a talent marketplace, so we would start with recruitment, getting the developers into our community, and usually the end point of that is they're with a client, they're working happily with a client, but then we make sure that that relationship still works really well. So across that whole life cycle there's several touch points. I'm there to make sure that the developers are happy, that the developers are not just happy, but also, successful in their career, successful in their jobs. And yeah, that success manifests itself in a lot of different ways, which we're going to be talking about in the conversation today.
Let's go. That sounds really exciting. And yeah, I remember when we first started having this conversation around G2I and collaborating and partnering up. I think it was really exciting because you guys were honestly the first company that had come across that focused on developer health. And there was a lot of, and there continues to be a lot of conversation around burnout and, stress management around inside the community that I think Gabe as well as Michelle is working on behind the scenes as well. So that's really, really awesome. So yeah, it was an amazing collaboration right off the bat. And yeah, Thea was the main focus point and the person that, we had way too many conversations around making sure that the developers were receiving the best out of whatever we were providing. So I absolutely love that. I would love to know, Thea, what were some of the challenges around stress and burnout that you were noticing in the community, the G2I developer community, before bringing me on board?
Yeah, that's super interesting because I came into this community obviously knowing already that, oh, we're prioritizing developer health, but it was actually really in a lot of the conversations, not even interviews, but just in the conversations that I'm having with the developers, that I'm seeing that, oh, there are actually patterns here. We literally have a community of more than 1,000 people experiencing sort of the same thing, and they're not talking about it. There's no place where people are actually, putting their minds together and thinking about how they're tackling challenges together. And one of the things that, oh, this might be super specific because we are a talent marketplace, but there was really a lot of, I would say, exasperation and frustration about the job market because we're in a community of developers seeking jobs. So there's a lot of like stress and burnout around finding jobs. So that was like
Mm-hmm.
number one, I think, for our community. The second is generally also the topic of overwhelm because we're in this age of, we have like so much AIs, blockchain, all this, Web3, all of these trends that are coming out in the market. And the developers are also getting a lot of overwhelm in a sense of, what should I learn next? There's so much to learn. If
Mm.
you research it, you have to be an AI first dev, but you also need to be able to still code without vibe coding. All of these like things in the world that the developers are getting. Where do I actually start? There's too much. I don't know if I should actually start. Um, so an overwhelm on this aspect. And I think maybe the third thing that I thought was really common and high frequency in our community was a lot around just remote work, right? Because we are,
Mm.
even G2i itself is a remote company. It's, the headquarters is in the US, but I'm actually in Copenhagen. I have colleagues in South Africa. We were working with Madhurima, who was in India. So everyone was everywhere. And things get so noisy online. But at the end of the day, you're actually alone on your computer most of the time and just interacting with a screen. And in many times we don't talk about it, but it actually creates an impact. And I've noticed in a lot of devs that they're like, oh, there's not really places where I could connect with other people. Or it could also be, it's actually really hard for me to connect with my team and to proactively report on the stuff that are happening, because with remote work a lot of it is actually, there's some level of proactivity needed. So yeah, I would say that a lot of the challenges were really about, job market issues, burnout about job application, overwhelm, and a lot of like remote isolation
Mm.
before Madhurima came in.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What made you guys interested in partnering up with me with stress and burnout, around topics of
Yeah.
stress and burnout? Yeah.
Well, actually, we did a couple of things already before with other, we would partner with a psychologist or a coach or like a doctor, actually doing like more like a neurological approach. So we're a different couple of partners that we work with. And I wouldn't take the credit for this because we actually had a community member who submitted Mardurma's profile to me and just said, "Oh, this person seems super cool. I am not sure how he found you, but he was just like, what do you think about having actually somebody like a resident coach to work with the community?" And I thought, oh wow, that actually would really superpower our claim that we are a developer health company when we have someone that is a partner rather than just like a one time, if somebody needs somebody, we're going to get this person. We want to have somebody across the journey. And so that's how Madhurima got in the picture and how we considered her. But I think why I really pursued the partnership with Madhurima is that I personally really liked it, her confidence about showing value first. And let's talk about the prices later on. Let's talk about the packages and all of that. Let me, if you want, I can do some trial sessions with the community. We can do a trial workshop, and then you decide later on if you want to pursue. And then I'm like, okay, this person is pretty confident about what she can do. We didn't even talk dollar signs yet. And so I appreciated that it was so low hanging. It was more results oriented. It was more about how can I serve you rather than what can I get out of you, which
Mm.
was important for us in a partner. Especially we were not desperate. We were already doing other things. It felt like in the beginning that we don't badly need this person, but this person can bring so much value to the community. And that's why, that's how the partnership was brought to life.
Oh, that's amazing. It's so nice to hear the other side of the
My
conversation and what
perspective.
you get. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
we never
absolutely.
really actually talked
Absolutely.
about
Because I was
it.
like, dang. Yeah, I mean, we kind of got into it and it was all exciting and we were like, let's make this happen. So it's really nice to kind of hear the perspective and what kind of made you guys to kind of look into the partnership as well. So I absolutely love that. Love that we are having this conversation.
Oh my God. Looking back
Yeah.
and just reflecting, it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. Okay, so what were some of the changes or mindset shifts that you observed in the community after we started, doing sessions for the team as well as workshops that we were kind of collaborating and working on?
Yeah. I think this is such a cool question because uh I wouldn't say that it was like this life-changing moment that completely changed our community. Um, at the end of the day, it's like we never wanted to force people to go to these, we called
Mm.
them actually dev health workshops. We did
Yes.
workshops, and then we did one-on-one sessions that people could have with Madurima if they needed coaching. We never forced anyone. It was like, if you want to, there's this offer, we're here to support you. And the breathtaking response was that how many people were actually interested in it, without being required, and just that feeling of relief among the audience.
Hmm.
And I feel like it was very strong, particularly in the type of community we have, because we're a tech community, um, male dominated, software engineers. So it's a community where maybe this topic is not talked about as much.
Yeah.
I'm a self-proclaimed wellness girly, so in my natural communities, this is we would do this every day. We would talk to coaches, talk about our mental health. But in this community, it's just something that wasn't really offered so much before. So there was a lot of interest, and a lot of, I think in the beginning, like hesitation as well, like, oh,
Mm.
why would I talk about my feelings, what is actually the difference with a coach and a psychiatrist and all of that. But people were interested, and when we started rolling out the stuff, we got everybody 100%, all the people that interacted with Madurima would go back to me and just say, what a great experience, this person is awesome, partner with her, do more stuff with her, she's made such a big difference to me. So I feel like the value is has you know is it was super clear to everybody who interacted with Madurima. And it's just, for us, it was really just creating this space where people could tackle stress and burnout. And not, we're already stressed, we're already burnt out, we're not forcing you to attend these sessions.
Yeah.
It's more like, if you want, we're here, we're going to support you. And that was taken really positively by the community.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love that. The way that this was approached, it had a very silent support kind of angle to it, where it wasn't forced down their throat, like, you have to do this because we are paying for it. It was more like, this is here. You can get this resource anytime you want to. And I remember there were a few times where, especially during the peaks, there were a lot of sessions happening in one go. And then there were like times where there was nothing happening and it was still perfectly fine because it was a resource that you guys offered to the developers. And I also remember it was a whole new experience for me because I work prominently with people who are, female representing essentially. So it was a whole new perspective shift of how they approached, how men presenting people approach the whole conversation, and the different shift in the coaching style as well, where it was a lot more like, let's focus on this from a very logic focused perspective.
Yeah,
Like, there was conversations
100%.
around emotions, but it was also like, let's see the diagram, let's see the whole picture and see how we can kind of work on the strategy. So I absolutely loved the whole experience as such. I would love to know, what were some of the biggest takeaways from the developers who participated in the sessions? Now, I know what was shared during the conversation and during the workshop, and once again, I'm gushing about me, but yeah, feel free to gush about me as well. Like,
Yeah. So, well, I kind of wanted to also emphasize that if I were to sort of summarize the most dominant theme with the community when we introduce these sessions, it probably really is gratefulness. Like, a lot of
mhm.
people were so thankful that we created this space. And I was like, I felt so honored to be part of it, because I felt like, oh, this is so simple. I just partnered with Madurama, and then so many people were just like, um, so so thrilled and just so relieved that they have this space where they can talk, because we did workshops. So it's not only talking to Madurama, it's talking to other engineers about topics that we don't usually get the chance to talk about. So I think one of the biggest takeaways is that there's really power in community, from a
Mhm.
community manager. But there's really a lot of value, um, in gathering people who are not necessarily like-minded, but are just in the same stage, have something in common, who could benefit from each other. And that's something that we were able to realize when we did these sessions with Madurima. I also
Yeah.
think what was pretty special, actually, Madurima, that is that you were always, we would call you like a burnout coach, but you were always emphasizing whenever you had the chance that, you know what, when we're already tackling burnout, that might already be too late. So what's important is that we get to manage stress and the early signs of stress, and that was also something that I could see in a lot of devs that people have been talking about, and people have sort of like, an aha moment that we don't even want to say the B word. Let's try to avoid that, and let's try what are the things we could do in all the different aspects of our lives that are going to help us with managing stress, before it gets too late. So that's another takeaway, I would say. And lastly, I think it's really super valuable, and this is what I love about coaching and what I loved about working with you, is that you were very, very seldom actually giving the solutions to the problems. So it was more like the approach of, you're here to ask the right questions, you're here to give the tools, you were guiding people, but most of the time the answers really came from them. So, if you did a coaching session with, let's say, Mark, and you did a coaching session with Anton who had the same problems, you're not gonna end with the same resolution, because all of it was so individual driven, and you're just asking, you're helping them reflect, and it actually comes from within them. And that also has been a huge takeaway from the community, that actually they're all capable of so much, and it just comes from them. You just need a little push, a little bit of inspiration, and a little bit of guiding. So I think those were the top three things that I could see benefited me as a community manager and as a recipient as well of the services. But I'm sure our community shares among everyone.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, I would love to know, what were some of the key themes or topics that we actually explored or and worked on, when we were
Mm.
supporting the developers at G2i. Because I remember one of the things that we were actively doing, and it's kind of touching back on the community aspect, is you used to send out these surveys about what are some of the topics that
Yeah,
developers would actually
feedback.
need support on, and then we would kind of see, okay, this is the prevalent topic, this is the topic that they need the most support on right now, and then we would start having conversations around building
Yeah.
workshops, and what are some of the top takeaways that we want people to walk away with, but what were some of the key themes that we had a conversation around.
Yeah, I loved how we did it. I'm so proud of how we
Mm.
did it, because it was always like, um crowdsourced. Like the topics that we came up with didn't just, we didn't say, oh, this would be a cool topic. It really came from, oh, Madurima, a lot of people are experiencing this, or actually surveys, data driven, and saying a lot of people want us to talk about this. And now I know you had a lot of individual sessions, so there's got to be a lot more. But in the developer health workshops that we did for more people, we did like some of the issues that I was talking about earlier about overwhelm, right? So if you remember, we
Mhm.
did a session about just being overwhelmed by the job market, like how many jobs should I apply to? There's so many things. And also another one about overwhelm with learning, about there's so many things to learn about, how
Mhm.
do I do this? Um, I think we did a session as well about time management. So time
Yes,
management
I
mastery, and
love
that was
that
awesome.
one.
I remember a lot of people had great takeaways. That was a very action driven session, I think, that you come out with it and you have like a tool that you can apply right away. Um, we also did one on burnout prevention. So prevention is
Mhm.
the key term, and this is what I was talking about, that before you could prevent something, I think, Madurima, you were talking about like some symptoms of early signs that you might be
Yeah.
on the way to burnout, and so we also did that. And also, I think one of my favorite ones was an imposter syndrome session as well, because this
Oh yeah, that was so
is super
good.
common among devs. Like some of the most talented people we see in the community are always, questioning themselves if they're worth it, and if they're as good as how people think they are. So I thought that was also a really strong and relevant topic. But yeah, those were a couple of things that we did in these group sessions, and I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a lot more in the individual sessions that you did with the devs.
Yeah, no, I absolutely loved those sessions. I loved how much the community was engaging during those sessions as well. Like the chats would blow up with everyone kind of sharing their reflections
Yeah,
and their thought processes on, specific topics. So I think that was really fun from a facilitator's perspective as well, because I
yeah.
got to see the opportunity of, see the impact that I was making. And it was really, really fun. Yeah, no, absolutely. I would
And
love
I
to know.
also,
Yeah, sorry, go
I
ahead.
just
Yeah.
remember that with these sessions, I we actually recorded them, but some
Hmm.
of our events we would post on YouTube, but I never actually shared these sessions because a lot of them got really vulnerable, and you would have people sharing about, it was so interactive. So people would share, oh, this is exactly what I'm going through now. These are my challenges. And it was such a beautiful space that even me was
Hmm.
kind of thinking, oh, I wish I had this space for my career and for my industry as well, you know. So those sessions were really special.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think that was a joint decision that we kind of came up with to make sure that it stayed within the community
Mhm.
and didn't really go out. Mostly from the perspective of it got really, really deep, and we wanted to make sure that it was still a comfortable space for
Yeah.
the developers to share whatever they needed to share in the future without it being shared somewhere else. So yeah, no, absolutely, I love that joint decision that we took. Yeah.
Yes, love it.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. I would love to know, how did onboarding me fit into your broader efforts to support developer well-being? I know we have already touched up on this in the previous
Mhm.
questions. So anything else that you wanna add into as yeah, piggyback
Yeah.
almost, if you will.
Um, I think definitely that the partnership with you was the strongest and most concrete way for us to actually give value to people, because we talk a lot about developer health and we do a lot of things. I mean, our founder, and we have probably the only company in the world that has a developer health director. So we have a full-time person who does developer health initiatives. My founder and her, actually, they wrote a book together, and that is published online and that's easily accessible to people. We had a developer health fund, which is, we're kind of, as a company, putting in part of our profit to support people in developer health causes in their lives. We even did a couple of other like yoga classes and breathwork classes in our community. So there was a lot of stuff that we were trying to contribute to the community. But the partnership with Madurima was the one that was, I would say, reactive. It was more,
Mm,
we're listening, let's do something about the stuff that we're learning. It was almost personalized to what the community actually needed. And that was really special. And that was something that the community responded positively to. Um, I also really appreciated that Madurima was such a reliable partner, I would say. I felt like um, working with her was just having like another teammate. We were really like teammates. She was a
yeah.
partner, but I felt like we were working together. And at the same time, she also felt like a member of the community because I would do a lot of other events not related to developer health. And then in the event, you would have all engineers, and then Madurma is there. And I'm just like, oh, we're supportive, you know? So that has just been like a good glue, I think, because you could see the things that were happening from the perspective of us as a company and the perspective of the developer, and just putting two and two together and making the process whole, making the process concrete, and as I say, just making it make sense,
Mm,
um, so that was a strong asset to our program, to our developer
yeah.
health efforts in GUI.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Thank you so much. Uh, Once again, this feels repetitive, so if you don't want to answer it, it's completely okay. We can jump on to the next question. But how did it feel to have me as a coach and collaborator within the ecosystem of G2I?
Mhm. Well, as I mentioned, it really felt like we had an extra teammate, and I have so much respect for people who are results driven. So we never really talked about the number of hours she spent doing something, or um, just how did she get to do something. We didn't talk so much about that stuff. What mattered was we had a goal, and Madurima would do things to make it happen. So it's like we talked about people are struggling with time management. by the end of working with her on this, people had tools to manage their problems with time management. So it was very, you get like a clear takeaway that
Hmm.
answers to why you were doing it in the first place. And that's what I really loved about collaborating with Madhurima. I would also say that we definitely have become friends. So
Absolutely.
she's easy to work with, and just like somebody who's very kind. And Madhurima, you really work with your heart in what you do, and you see obviously care about the community, because you didn't need to go to all those TypeScript JavaScript sessions, but you were there to support the people who were speaking. And yeah, so I feel like it was just a very good, like, moral support cheerleader, not just to the community, but also to me as a community manager, and to G2I as a company. Just overall building confidence among the stakeholders, in the equation.
Thank you so much. You warmed my heart so much, and it's a very rainy day, as I was telling you earlier. So it's just making me smile and like, no,
My
that's beautiful.
pleasure.
I have just one last question for you, and we will wrap this up. But what would you say to any other organization who's considering to bring me in to support their team as well as their community? I know you don't want to share, but like,
Mm.
yeah.
Well, if I hadn't already sold her for this whole conversation. But I think really the keywords are reliable and results oriented, and really genuinely kind. So if you want somebody who truly cares about the people that you're serving, who truly will get to the results you want to achieve from a coaching perspective for your community, Madhurima is your person. She doesn't feel like somebody you hired externally. She would feel like an extension of your team. And yeah, she will think deeply about what your community needs, and go above and beyond to meet those needs. So it's a pleasure working with her, really. And I'm super happy as a professional and just as a person to have had the pleasure of being part of Madhurima's journey as a coach.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This was so beautiful. And yeah, I would love to invite anyone who's a developer who's struggling in the market and who wants to learn a bit more about the developer side of things and needs a community and wants to be a part of a space where they're not feeling extremely alone. I'm gonna drop a link. Just get in touch with me and I'll connect you with Thea or someone else from the company so that you can be a part of the community. I can't stop gushing about it enough. It is definitely a huge part. Like it was honestly a huge part of my journey as a coach as well. I think 2 or 3 years into the journey of being a coach when I first connected with you, and it was a brilliant way for me to just stretch and expand my own boundaries. And
Mm,
yeah, I'm so grateful that you were someone who was a collaborator, and I think that speaks so much to you as a community manager as well, because I could reach out to you and be like, oh my gosh, this is crazy, what do we do about it? And then we would have conversations on what we can do together to kind of reach a solution. So yeah, no, you will absolutely thrive in the G2I market. And yeah, the space is chef's kiss. So get in touch with me and I'll put you in touch with Thea or someone else from the community. But it's a beautiful community. Thea, thank you so much
of course, my
for doing
pleasure.
this for me. Yeah.
We'll do it again for you anytime.
Yay. Thank you so much. And that brings us to a close. Get in touch with me. I'm going to drop a link for you to connect with me if you would like to work with me as well, for bringing me into your team or hiring me as your stress and burnout coach so that I can host coaching sessions for you or host workshops for you and your team. Let's do it. Let's make it happen. I'm really excited to make stress management fun and exciting. So yeah, let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's
Perfect.
go.